Hey, welcome back to Rookie Roost. It's finally happening. I'm going to start wiring the house this week. And before that happens, I need to pretty much clear everything out of here except for the fridge. The fridge is not going anywhere because I basically need to work in the entire house. There are outlets going everywhere and switches going everywhere and lights going everywhere. My basic premise with the electricity is I never want to have to run an extension cord. So I'm probably putting in a lot more than I need, but I'd rather have more than not enough. So it's time to make some space. If you're new here, I'm Sean, and this series just follows the building of and life within an unfinished tiny house on wheels. So let's get to it. The bathroom is getting fully redone. I've changed my mind entirely on how I want it set up. I don't want the shower as high. I don't want there to be that step up into the bathroom that I had before, because it's just not nice to anybody over 6'2". Even me, I almost hit my head on it. So I'm going to have at least this part of the bathroom down at normal floor height. The shower is going to be raised up about 8 inches. I think that'll be enough for me to get the appropriate amount of plumbing underneath the shower. And the toilet will probably be raised up about 6 inches because I want to use that space underneath for a couple drawers, probably for towels. And I'm thinking I don't want to go with a sink in here, at least not in a traditional sense. I was thinking if I could put a faucet lower down in the shower, I was thinking I could maybe rig up like a little bowl that has a hole in the bottom of it to kind of pretend to be a sink, and then it just drains into the shower drain. Then I don't need a dedicated sink, and if I could just take the bowl out, hang it somewhere or whatever. I'm not quite sure how it's all going to work, but that's my current idea for the bathroom. So all of this ends up being kind of wasted, but I'm probably going to turn it into fire blocking, because I still have to do that. Me. That's how you break your bathroom fan right there. You heard a crunch. Why didn't you move the boxes first, huh? That would have been smart. If you watch me move things in and out of this house. I'm finally fixing a mistake I made a long time ago. This. No battery. So I was going to put the breaker box here until I realized the range hood is gonna be here, so I can't do that. So I'm thinking I might lower it down. That's one option I've got. It's gonna be behind the fridge, partially. And since I was planning on putting some kind of a cabinet thing around the fridge, that basically makes that an impossible location for it. Unless I scrap the ideas for that cabinetry. But even still, then you'll just see like a bit of the breaker box showing, and it's gonna look really dumb there, so I'm thinking about another idea. The breaker box would also fit here between the studs, but I've got another one of these metal rods. I've already taken out a metal rod because of not realizing where the range hood had to go. I may be taking out a second metal rod, which means there will only be 1 left on this wall and 4 left in the entire house. 3 on that wall, 1 in the back corner. Now, I don't know if these rods are all that necessary, really. I've seen a lot of builds where people don't even think to use something like that. And you think it could be easily replaced just by putting a bunch of metal strapping to the 2x4 top plate and at the bottom of the 2x4 into the bottom plate. I have these beefy metal boots that attach studs directly to the metal frame of the trailer. And if the studs are attached directly to the metal frame and the top plate is attached directly to the stud, I mean, the house isn't gonna just fly off the trailer. What I'm doing right now is just convincing myself I can take this rod out and have a really nice location for the breaker box. This would be the most ideal location in the house to put it. I have nothing but empty space down at the bottom plate, so I can run the main cord through there to reach it. It's going to be easily accessible above the fridge. Yep, I've just convinced myself I'm taking that rod out. Definitely had some tension on it, which is good. I guess they were doing what they were meant to be doing. I'm pretty sure it's going to be fine. Okay, so it didn't do the fire blocking right when I thought I was gonna do it because a friend was able to swing by and give me a hand doing something that would have been very annoying alone, which was removing the entire loft, putting up the vapor barrier, and putting the loft back in. The reason I want the loft in before I do electrical is because I have lines that run down the loft joist. So this will essentially act as a between floors of the house. There'll be a few plot lights and whatnot under the loft here. So that's something that needed to get done before electrical was happening, and ideally would have had 2 people to do it, had the opportunity, got it done. Now I'm still not gonna do fire blocking right now. What I've decided to do instead is mount basically all of my boxes, just in case I end up putting a fire block in a place where I actually want to put a box. The fire blocking can move up and down, but these have specific spots that I want them. Before I get into actually installing these though, I'll show you what I've come up with on the SketchUp model as far as organizing and planning the routes for the wires and where these boxes will go. Okay, so here's the model, and here are some of the boxes. Got some lights, and all the cabling I've got planned. As you can see, I have spent some serious time working on this. So I have no more than 2 cables running through any one hole. This is where the breaker box is. This purple thicker line here is the main one that's gonna come in through there. This is an outside outlet. And so the way I kind of figured out where everything's gonna go basically was because I've been thinking about all this stuff for a long time. And some of this stuff is actually moved, like this outlet isn't right here. This outlet is actually gonna be down kind of under the couch a little bit, but that's alright, you kind of get the point. To figure out like outlets on this wall, for example, I modeled what I think the desk is gonna be like. So I knew where outlets would be good to have. In the bathroom, I've got, you know, the shower modeled, and toilet will be over here. I'm gonna have probably a cabinet here and here. I want outlets inside the cabinets for charging things like razors or toothbrushes or whatever. The loft is gonna have little shelves on the underside of it, so I'm gonna have outlets inside those shelves for charging like maybe batteries or phones or whatever. An outlet just above the fridge. Got lots of outlets up in the loft. This is basically, you know, like a bedroom kind of thing, so I'm not sure what's gonna go in here. It's kind of like the closet area. Figure I could use a few outlets there. And so I painstakingly figured out the path of all the wires. And the different colors of wire are just for different amperage. This will be a 12-2 wire, which is for a 20 amp circuit. The yellow is gonna be the 14-2 wires, which is for 15 amp circuits. These purple and blue boxes are for light switches. Purple denotes that it starts a 3-way switch, and there will be a dimmer switch inside the purple ones. There's one there, there's one down here. This one will be able to dim the upper loft lights. This one down here can dim the under loft lights. And then the light switches up here, the top box is going to control the light that's above the door, as well as the kitchen lights, and they're just on regular on-off type switches. And the bottom one is going to be the secondary switch for the lights that are up in the loft and for the lights that are down below the loft. So yeah, in the kitchen you can see I've got outlets in either corner, although this may end up being a closet in this corner. There's an outlet right here on its own circuit, outlet for the cooktop on its own circuit, outlet for the oven on its own circuit. That's like a little toaster oven. But that's the basic rundown. So all I'm doing for this is pulling my dimensions off the 3D model and screwing the boxes into the wall. I've got these 1-inch, you know, like flathead type screws. I think I'm only gonna need 2, might stick 3 or 4 in there depending on how wobbly they are. But these are pretty rigid boxes, so here we go. Pretty rigid. 2 screws. Not all screws are manufactured perfectly, some of them are just shit. This one isn't actually on the model, but I just remembered that the toilet has a little fan that vents the toilet to the outdoors, so it needs to plug into the wall. So I've got a couple 2-gang boxes going right here. This is what I mean by the fire blocking. Why I wanted to put it in afterwards, because as you can see, I put that one in a long time ago, and it's kind of right where I want to put these. Ah, stupid ass fire blocking. Stupid fire blocking. I'm quite sure these have a standard height. I don't care what it is. I think that'll look okay. So I've done a few test holes with this. I've got a 3/4 inch spade bit on it. And I just ran through these studs, which will run the line that goes into the outlets that are just below the loft here. And it's worked out pretty well. It makes a huge mess, and there's a lot of vacuuming involved later. But I think I'm ready to do a serious run all the way around from this outlet, and there's actually one under the kitchen as well, all the way around to behind where the camera is, actually where the breaker box is going to be. So I've got a lot of studs to drill out. This is a little intimidating because I'm making big holes in my studs for the first time, but it's got to be done. So here we go. Now and then, I hit a screw. A screw that's coming in from attaching the sheathing to this. Sucks when that happens, but what can you do except move your hole a little bit? So I'm gonna go up a little bit here. So this is where the breaker box is. It's up in this segment of the wall right here. So this is basically the longest run that I have to deal with. It goes all the way from behind the camera over there to here, and then up to the breaker box. This is a messy job. Getting right covered in sawdust. So is the camera, so is a laptop. So I don't know how much more of this I'm gonna really record because it's just gonna be me drilling a ton of holes. Basically because I spent so much time on the model figuring out where all the wires are gonna go, I should have a pretty good idea of where I need every single hole. I've only got this right angle drill for a day, at least that's what I hope to only have to rent it for. It's 24 bucks a day, I don't want to go past more in one day. So the rest of my night is drilling holes. I'm hitting so many screws. How do you avoid that? Guessing there's a screw at this height the entire way along. I'm really quite upset right now. My bits are all having a really hard time getting through. It's already 8 p.m. and this has to go back in the morning. I might not be making my time budget. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this tonight. My only option is to zip to Home Depot and get another bit. This is a spade bit I just bought. This is a spade bit I bought earlier today after hitting a few screws. Got rid of the threads quite quickly, and now it's mostly useless. So I bought 3 more of these. Home Depot just closed. I barely got there in time. I bought a lot of drill bits because I need to finish this tonight. And if these things become useless as soon as I hit a screw, then I'm gonna go through a few. Because there are screws every 8 inches. The chances are that I'm gonna hit them pretty high. That's my cable superhighway. 5 holes for 10 wires. Alright, so that was an incredibly frustrating experience with all the drill bits that I destroyed by hitting screws, but the whole house is done. I was up very late getting it finished, so I could return that tool today. And that's where I'm going to end this video, because the next thing to do is to run a bit of wire and finally get that fire blocking in. I've actually got Jackie here with me today, so we're going to do that and film it. And that'll be in the next video. So like and leave a comment on this one if you enjoyed what you saw. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new, and I will see you next time at The Roost.